So, all right, what you got?
It feels like those road games were very different from one another. You as a coach, it seemed like there was just heightened intensity in practice. I don't know if you would say that today, but what did you see in those games that made practice a little different today?
No, I didn't. I don't think it was the games, actually. It was that in practice we didn't come out with the intensity we needed to. It's just that simple. There's a standard, and there's, it needs to be a relentless quest to that, and if you don't meet it, it needs to be very uncomfortable, period.
Are there walls like that usually during a season when you have practices like this, or?
Well, there are, but if you don't respond to them quick enough, then you're not competing for a championship. I mean, I think that the lulls, I would say, are for average, and most teams are average. But I thought we were committed to excellence.
Charlize was out of practice today. Is just everything going on?
Just under the weather, just a little under the weather today. She should be fine, but just wasn't worth. We had a really difficult. We got to the airport and our pilot was sick. We had to go back to the hotel, sleep for 3 hours, get up at 5, come back, and so I just think she was run down. Our trainer just said it wasn't wise today, but she's nothing serious.
With a team like this, are those expectations and demands, like you said, hey, if you can do it easy, that's what average teams do.
Right.
Do you kick that up a bunch because you know the talent and the depth that you guys have and the opportunity that you have?
Yeah, I think it's just the matter. We all said what we wanted to become. We all determined what the standards were going to be. And it's pretty clear of what it takes to do that. It's really hard, otherwise a lot of people would do it. But I think I obviously have a great sense of what our potential can be, and probably my biggest job is to hold that standard day in and day out, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it seems like, man, she's so annoying. That's my job. And if I also think I told him in the film room today, I said, you guys, if you tell me about a WNBA team that isn't going to demand that. Tell me about a USA basketball team that you want to make isn't going to demand that. Tell me about a long pro career, what it's going to be like. Tell me about when you're going to feel comfortable. If you're comfortable, you're probably losing ground. And so I just think nothing good usually happens in our comfort zone. So it's my job to get them out of that on a consistent basis. And I think sometimes you asked about the games, or someone asked about the games. The reality is we had some really crappy possessions that we still scored because we had more talent. And that can be one of your biggest deceptions. And so, my job is to expose those and to get us focused on the process and to present day and to chase excellence, to fall in love with what it takes to become great, regardless of the outcomes. Outcomes are actually, I think, a distraction. Wins and losses, records, rankings, outcomes are a distraction. And process is where the good work happens. And that's what we just got to keep coming back to.
You have an experienced team, both
Yeah.
but both Lena and Sienna have
Yeah.
played key roles for you at times.
Totally.
What can you say about their overall development, especially how they've responded to being thrown in?
Well, I think if you were to ask me, I'm thrilled with Lena and Sienna. I think they're coming along great. I think they are going to be such incredible players here. If you ask Lena and Sienna, the world is caving in. Every freshman, I tell them all the time, and their families, you're going to want to quit a dozen times, transfer a dozen times, usually before Christmas, if not the end of the year. And the reality is it's really, really hard. And for them right now, they feel like they can do nothing right. And I think they're right on track and learning from our upperclassmen, growing from every experience, and learning what it takes at this level. Every freshman thinks they know, but they don't know what they don't know. And and most freshmen, because they're so talented, have been rewarded for all the wrong things growing up. And so they have to come here and unlearn before they can start to relearn what it really takes. And Lena and Sienna are in that process, and I think they're doing great.
Maryland takes down USC. What makes them such a talented basketball team and a true competitor in the Big Ten?
Maryland plays their butts off, and Maryland rebounds, and Maryland turns people over. I mean, those are really hard things to do on a consistent basis. And I've been coaching against Brenda since I was at Florida State in the ACC. And it's one thing to have success initially, it's another thing to have sustained success. And Brenda has led that program to sustained success. And as long as I have been coaching against them, if you can rebound and take care of the ball, you got a chance. But they play so hard, and they turn you over, they get you going in transition, and they just punish people on the boards. And therefore, they get to the free throw line. And that's what you saw against USC, is it wasn't pretty basketball. They weren't getting comfortable shots, but they just wanted it more, and they got extra shots and possessions, and they got themselves to the easiest shot at the free throw line.
And they made them. 20 to 24.
Yeah, they made them. Exactly. And so I have so much respect for Brenda and her staff and how hard they work. I heard this the other day about her, that she always gets credit for how well she recruits. She doesn't get nearly enough credit for how well she coaches. And I agree with that. She is a heck of a coach. And, the hardest thing to do is get teams to play, really talented players, to play hard and selflessly a high percentage of the time, and she does that every year.
Is it just the freshman again?
Yeah.
That process of sort of unlearning and relearning, I guess, does this sort of freshman class how does that compare to sort of past freshmen?
Well, they're doing great. This morning we had game plan meeting at 8 a.m. and I gave them more time to sleep in today because we just had such a hard day yesterday. And I came in and So, who has the scout, had this towel around his neck, and he's like, I go, what are you doing? Because we had made time for individual workout at 9:30, and he said Sienna wanted to come in at 7 a.m. And so he came in with her at 7 a.m. before our game plan meeting and before she had to be here for weights. So I think that says a lot. And Lena and Chrissy have been the same. They're definitely, I always say it is your commitments, not your feelings, that will determine your destiny. Their feelings have been tough. You can't sugarcoat it. It's been really hard. And compared to this experienced, talented group ahead of them, it seems like the gap is so big. So their feelings are not going to be accurate, but their commitments have been excellent. And so in the long run, if they will stick to choosing their commitments over their feelings, they will be rewarded, and they will be some of the greatest players that play here.
There was, the indictment that dropped yesterday about the betting scandal in college basketball. I'm not sure if you have you guys gotten any guidance from the NCAA about this? Or
No, come on, Serena. Seriously, I haven't. I don't know whether it maybe exists. Our director of athletics, Martin Jarman, sent out an email to all the coaches yesterday, just sort of reiterating how important it is to be mindful of this. I really do feel for college kids. People are showing up in their DMs and, texting them like constantly as this betting thing has gotten completely out of hand. And it's just another distraction, as if they didn't already have enough. And, so I think, but it's always, it's the hard right for a reason. It's hard sometimes, and there's temptations everywhere and distractions everywhere. But he was giving us a firm, make sure you guys are talking to your teams about this. This is really, really important. But we got to just continue to educate and to encourage our players that the hard right is always worth it.
One more random, speaking of kind of big picture stuff. The switch in the change in the transfer window portal. How big is that for a program where you guys are playing deep and being able to do that after you guys are done? Yeah,
and I want to say this because I would have said this if I wasn't in the NCAA tournament last year, and I was. I think it's the right thing to do. You don't ever have a business that you make the decision based on the people who aren't in the tournament. And I do understand that sounds callous, and I hope people would know my heart and history to know that I really care about the growth of the game for everyone. But I just don't think that's a wise decision, that when your game needs to be at the highest and with the fewest distractions, and it has the most eyeballs on it, and you have the most opportunities to move it forward and to honor the teams that have gotten to that point, you don't want to have them doing Zooms during the any windows of opportunity instead of studying film and working on your game plan and all of those things. I just think it is the right thing to do. And I also think you want to reward. You don't want to honor transferring. I think there are really good reasons to transfer. I have a team full of people that I am thrilled that they transferred, and I think they transferred for the right reasons. So I'm not being critical of that, but I don't think we should make it easiest for everybody. I am a proponent for the next step is I think Calipari's been pretty outspoken about this, that, hey, everybody deserves one without a penalty, play again. But I think there's got to be on the second, third, fourth times. I think we got to have some boundaries, and people need to sit out, or there needs to be other things that need to be happening, because right now it's too easy. And so I do think this is another way. There are sacrifices. It isn't perfect for everybody. I don't think there was a perfect solution available. I do think this was the right response to move the window, to shorten it, and to make it win a chance where it's not competing with your most important time of growing your sport.
You've already talked a lot about how just how much talent there is in the Big Ten and how women's basketball comes through California.
Incredible.
But I mean, for including Sunday, 4 of your next 6 games have been against top 25 opponents. Just to be confronted with that challenge kind of so early in the season because it's your conference, what is that like, and how does that kind of affect the mentality of the team?
Well, and it's actually 5 out of 6 if you count. Minnesota's been in and out, in that range, and believe me, I've watched the film that they should have beat Maryland at their place in the double overtime game. Had to have a last second comeback. Credit to Maryland, but giving credit to Minnesota for the kind of team that they are. We have the privilege to play. I mean, obviously the SEC is really good too. They have great teams, but I think what separates the Big Ten is our depth. And I think they have, the SEC has a lot of teams in the top 16. But when you talk about top to bottom, it's hard to argue with the amount of quad 1 wins. We have the most amount of quad 1 wins in the country. And there's 13 teams projected to be in the NCAA tournament for the Big Ten. This is not rah-rah. This is not me like pounding my chest for the Big Ten. The numbers don't lie. We're not the only great conference. I think it was on display last night. The SEC is pretty darn good too. But we're really proud. We're really proud of the depth. I love coaching against the different styles. I think there's excellent coaches that I know challenge me every night in and night out. I love the different dynamic players that we have to scout for. I think it really is the greatest preparatory conference for the NCAA tournament because you're ready for anything you're going to face. And I think that diversity of playing styles is really a separator for the Big Ten, and we're really lucky to be a part of it.
Kiki had mentioned, you had spoken about it, wanting to see her more aggressive this season.
Yeah.
And she said she was really proud of her aggressiveness on defense.
Yeah.
How have you seen her grow there?
Yeah, and it's not as much even just her on-ball defense, which that people are going to see that initially. I told her after the Nebraska game that I thought it was her best, most active, dominating, playmaking plays away from the ball on defense. She was getting off-ball rotations and deflections. She was boxing out somebody that allowed somebody else to get a rebound that we call an assist box out. I just thought she was such a great playmaker, even outside of guarding the ball. And that's where I've seen such a growth. And I think that speaks to her IQ. I think it speaks to her commitment to play all the way through plays. And I really emphasize to them all the time that 97% of the game is usually played without the ball in your hands. So what kind of playmaker are you on the 97%? And I think she's really taken that on, and it's been great to see.
When you see an older player on the team take that mindset, what does that teach someone like Crizzy over there practicing right now?
Exactly. And that's what Coach Tasha, if you heard, was challenging them. Like, if you see someone who's doing something better than you, study them, learn from them. Say, hey, can I work out with you? Can I watch film with you? We have so many resources. There's no excuse. But I showed Charlize sometimes consistency doesn't get rewarded and talked about enough. And Kiki has been so consistent in her growth in that way. For instance, the way that Charlize guards the ball, we made such a big deal of that. And today I just showed 5 clips of her just fighting over ball screens, fighting over, sliding her feet, keeping people in front so we don't have to rotate. And there was nothing glamorous. No one wrote about it. But it makes our defense go. Or how about how many times we make a mistake and Lauren covers for us on rotation? Having a rim protector on that, having someone at 6, 7, or 8 that can switch out and keep people in front. Man, and that goes unnoticed and unappreciated a lot of the time. Now, at least she's gotten Defensive Player of the Year. But I guess my point is it's all the little things that we want to honor. It's those growth areas, and I want our freshmen to go, hey, if you can see it, you can achieve it too. And it's every day, pounding the stone, little by little, until you reach those and you close those gaps and the light bulb goes on for you. And so I just am proud that we have the consistent example setters that we do. And I think that bodes well for what Crizzy, Lena, and Sienna will grow into. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.